Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're looking into the early life of Paramahansa Yogananda.
Right, based on his autobiography of Yogi. We've
Oh,
got some great excerpts folks have shared.
exactly. And we want to unpack, where his spiritual quest really began. We're talking about that inner restlessness he felt, how he sort of turned away from what most people think of as success.
And that real deep search for something more. It's amazing how his story, written so long ago, still feels so relevant.
It really does. You might hear echoes of, well, modern life in it, right? That feeling of dissatisfaction, maybe career burnout, the pressure to fit in.
Definitely. So maybe a question for everyone listening as we go through this. Beneath all the day-to-day noise, what is your soul really looking for?
That's the core of it. We're trying to understand the roots of his search. Okay, so let's dive in. Yogananda mentions some pretty striking early memories.
He does. Right near the start, page 47, he talks about remembering being a yogi in the Himalayas in a past life. Yeah. And look, whether you buy into reincarnation or not, the point is, it suggests this really early, almost built-in spiritual leaning, like he arrived already connected somehow.
And you see that feeling of something more than just the physical world popping up really early, don't you? He talks about being frustrated as a baby, not being able to move freely.
Uh-huh. And that, combined with praying, even as a young child,
Mm.
it paints a picture of someone already feeling constrained, already reaching for something bigger.
That early praying is key, I think.
It really is. It shows this natural urge to connect, to get beyond those limits he felt. Maybe that longing for something more isn't always taught. Maybe it's just in us, sometimes buried deep.
It makes sense. And then there are the family influences. His mother, she used stories from the big epics, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana.
Right, these huge foundational stories of Indian spirituality.
Mm.
And she used them not just for teaching, but for discipline too, woven right into his childhood.
He called her a queen of hearts. Seems like she imparted these lessons with a lot of love.
Exactly. They weren't just tales. They were like living guides for him, delivered gently but firmly.
But his father, on the other hand, seems much more practical, grounded. Probably because he'd known poverty himself.
Yeah, that contrast is clear. There's that anecdote where his father reacts when someone asks about becoming a disciple of Lahiri Mahasaya.
Oh, right. The famous yogi.
Yeah. His dad's response, sort of dismissive, asking about becoming a religious fanatic. It really hits that classic tension, doesn't it? Worldly needs versus that inner spiritual pull.
Totally. You can see why his dad, having struggled, would focus on stability. Makes perfect sense.
But then Lahiri Mahasaya enters Yogananda's life anyway through a photograph,
Yeah.
and that seems like a major turning point.
It really does. The way he describes that photo having this surpassing influence. It's powerful stuff.
Page 49, yeah.
Yeah.
He talks about the image almost coming alive in his meditations, becoming this focus for prayer. It suggests, how much energy can be transmitted even through an object if the person is receptive enough.
It's like the photo just flipped a switch inside him.
Exactly. A kind of soul recognition almost.
And we see other hints of maybe inner power manifesting early on. That story about the boils appearing on him and his sister Uma, that's pretty strange.
It is strange, but it's this powerful illustration of how words, spoken with intense focus, could have a physical effect. And his mother's lesson afterwards, never use that power to harm. That's crucial.
A big early lesson in responsibility.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah,
How often do we really weigh the impact of our own words, even the casual ones?
true. And then there's the picture of Goddess Kali he got, showing that devotional side growing. And the kite story is fascinating.
Oh yeah, the kites. His prayer seems to bring back one kite, then his sister doubts him, so he prays even harder and gets the second one back too.
It shows such unwavering faith, even when someone's skeptical right next to him.
And persistence. He wasn't just trying to get the kites, he was like testing this connection, proving something to himself maybe.
That inner drive just seems to build and build until he feels this overwhelming need to actually leave home and actively seek a spiritual path.
And that's where things really shift. That incident with his mother's illness. He insists she's seriously ill, even when his father denies it. That points to a really deep intuition.
Yeah, like he's tuned into something beyond just the surface level.
And it sets up this potential clash with family expectations, which is a huge theme, right? The individual soul's path diverging from what the family or society expects. Ever feel that tension yourself?
Oh, definitely. Then there's his mother's dying message, which his brother Ananta only reveals later.
Right. We don't get the specifics here, but the fact it was held back, called momentous, it suggests some really important guidance for his path.
Almost like she understood where he was headed, even if his father didn't quite get it.
Possibly. That parental contrast is something many people on unconventional paths probably experience.
So after she passes, he actually tries to leave. The first attempt with his friend Amar, heading for Hardwar, foiled by a marked timetable.
It's such a human detail, isn't it? Shows they're still dealing with practical stuff. But then Amar gets cold feet, the lost money, fear of the jungle.
Right, and that really highlights the difference. Amar's impulse fades, but Mukunda's resolve is solid. He needs to find a guru.
His soul is just pulling him too strongly.
Then his brother Ananta steps in, gets him to go to Benares and Calcutta instead. But you can tell Mukunda sees it as just a delay.
A temporary detour, exactly. His focus is locked, which we see in Benares when that pundit and his son try to talk him out of becoming a sannyasi, a renunciate.
Yeah, that confrontation is telling. The arguments about needing worldly experience.
And Mukunda just shuts it down by quoting the Bhagavad Gita about trusting in God. Even as a young guy facing authority, he's got this deep conviction from the scriptures. Impressive.
Real strength of conviction there.
It makes you think, how strong are our convictions when challenged?
Good question. And he doesn't give up. He tries to run away again, this time with Jatinda and Amar.
And Ananta tracks him down again, using another marked timetable and info from a coachman. He's like a detective.
You get the sense Ananta is really worried, trying to protect him from this path he probably doesn't understand. Driven by family concern.
Definitely. And bringing in police officers to confront Jatinda, that really shows the social pressure, the concern for family reputation, when someone steps outside the expected norms.
Yeah, it wasn't just an internal struggle for Yogananda. There was real external pushback.
For sure. So Ananda tries a different tactic. He arranges for Swami Kaibalananda, who is actually a disciple of Lahiri Mahasaya, to tutor Mukunda in Sanskrit.
Thinking maybe channeling that spiritual energy into study would satisfy him, keep him grounded.
That seems like the idea. But it kind of backfired, didn't it?
Totally, because Swami Kaibalananda, being an advanced soul himself, just fanned the flames, made Mukunda want that direct experience of God even more.
It just goes to show you can't really satisfy that deep spiritual hunger with just intellectual knowledge. You need the experience.
The irony, right? The attempt to contain him just fueled his escape velocity.
Exactly. Now, near the end of these sections, we get this amazing perspective from Swami Nijendra Nath Paduri, the levitating saint.
Ah, yes. His take on renunciation is really mind-bending.
It really is. He flips the whole idea on its head. He says the people truly attached to worldly things, they're the real renunciates.
Because they've given up what?
Because they've given up the cosmic empire of endless bliss for just a poor handful of earthly toys. It's profound. True wealth isn't stuff. It's that divine joy. Clinging to the material means missing the real treasure.
Wow. That really makes you stop and think, what do we consider real wealth? What are we potentially giving up?
Exactly, the powerful reframe.
Okay, so wrapping up this look at Yogananda's early years, the pattern is just so clear, this deep, undeniable spiritual pull.
A constant rejection of the conventional path, the expected life.
And these determined, repeated attempts to break free, to find something profoundly meaningful.
And let's bring it back to today, like we said at the start, that restlessness, burnout, the pressure to achieve certain things. It's the same kind of internal and external static Yogananda was navigating.
His story is just such a powerful example of that universal human search for purpose, for something more than just the material world. It cuts across time.
Definitely.
So, reflecting on his early journey, all those pressures he faced, maybe ask yourself again, what really resonates with your own search? What might your soul be seeking beneath all the noise?
And if this has sparked your interest, digging into the full autobiography of a yogi is highly recommended. It's a journey that really does inspire you to look deeper.